You wake up in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror, and feel like your body just doesn't respond the way it used to. It's not drama, it's not an exaggeration, it's that subtle but constant feeling that something has changed. You get tired faster. The energy you had in your 40s feels like it was left behind somewhere you can't find anymore. And maybe, just maybe, you've noticed that certain things that used to happen naturally now take a lot more effort. Or simply don't happen the way you'd like. You try to brush it off. After all, it's just age, as everyone says. But deep down, you know something is off. And the worst part? Nobody has ever properly explained what's actually happening inside your body. My name is Sarah Mitchell, and I'm a specialist in men's health. Over more than a decade of working with men in their 50s and 60s, I've learned something that most doctors simply don't have time to tell you in a 15-minute appointment. What you're feeling has a name, has a cause, and in most cases has a solution. I'm not here to give you a diagnosis through a video, of course, but I am here to show you something that could completely change the way you understand your own body, and what you can start doing about it today. So if you're 60 or getting close to it, stay with me until the end. What I'm about to share is too important to miss. Today I want to talk about one of the topics that comes up most in my comments, in my messages, in the questions that patients are too embarrassed to ask out loud inside the office. Circulation. More specifically, what happens to male circulation after 60, and the 3 silent mistakes that most men make every single day without realizing they're making things worse. Because believe me, it's not just the heart that suffers when circulation fails. Your performance, your energy, your vitality, your ability to feel pleasure, to have a satisfying erection, to wake up feeling ready for the day, all of that is directly connected to the quality of blood flow throughout your body. And when that flow begins to fail in silence, the first signs show up exactly in the places you least want them to. Let me start with a simple question. When was the last time you thought about your circulation? Not your heart, your circulation. The blood flow that runs through every inch of your body, nourishing every organ, every muscle, every tissue, including the tissues responsible for your sexual function? I'd guess the answer is rarely or never, and that's not your fault. Nobody teaches us to think about it. We grow up hearing about cholesterol, blood pressure, diabetes, but the circulatory system as a whole, as a network of pathways that can narrow, become inflamed, and lose efficiency over time, is rarely explained clearly. Here's an image I use with my patients. Imagine your circulatory system as a network of pipes. When you're young, those pipes are wide, flexible, and clean on the inside. Blood flows easily, reaches where it needs to go quickly, carries oxygen and nutrients efficiently. Now imagine that over the years, those pipes start collecting deposits. They lose elasticity. They become narrower in certain spots. Blood still flows, but with much more difficulty. The heart has to work harder. Organs receive less nourishment, and you start feeling the effects: fatigue, cold hands and feet, difficulty concentrating, declining physical and sexual performance. This isn't fiction, this is physiology. And it's exactly what happens to most men from their 50s and 60s onward, especially when the 3 mistakes I'm about to show you are part of their daily routine. There's a reason why 60 is such an important turning point when it comes to men's health. It's not just because the body ages in general, it's because at this stage, a series of biological processes that were previously happening slowly start intensifying all at once. The production of nitric oxide, a molecule fundamental to the dilation of blood vessels, drops significantly. Testosterone, which has been declining since around age 35, reaches levels that begin to visibly impact energy, mood, and sexual function. The arteries progressively lose elasticity, and chronic low-grade inflammation, silent but constant, gradually compromises the integrity of the vessels. All of this together creates the perfect environment for what I call silent male circulatory decline. It's not a heart attack, it's not a stroke, it's something far more subtle, and because of that, far more dangerous, because most men ignore it until it's too late. I have a patient, I'll call him Anthony, to protect his privacy, who came to my office at 63, convinced he was simply getting old. He told me, "Doctor, I'm tired all the time. I don't sleep well, my mind doesn't work like it used to, and... Look, this is hard to say, but my sex life is over." I figured that was just normal after 60. Anthony was wrong. What he had wasn't simply age. It was compromised circulation affecting every system in his body, including the ones responsible for his erectile function. When we identified the habits that were aggravating the situation and began correcting them, within a few weeks he was already reporting significant improvements in his energy, and gradually, in his intimate life as well. Anthony is not an isolated case. He's a story of thousands of men who go through their 60s without understanding what's happening, and without knowing that there are simple, everyday things that can make an enormous difference. Now let's talk about the first mistake. It seems obvious. Everyone knows they need to drink water. But the truth is that most men over 60 are chronically dehydrated and don't even realize it. Here's the problem. With age, the sensation of thirst diminishes. The mechanism that signals the brain that the body needs water becomes less efficient. So you go through the whole day without feeling thirsty, drink 3 cups of coffee, a juice at lunch, maybe a soda, and think you're hydrated. You're not. What dehydration does to your circulation is devastating. The blood becomes thicker, more viscous, harder to push through the vessels. The heart has to work harder to pump that denser blood, and the smaller vessels, exactly the ones that irrigate erectile tissue, reach the extremities, and nourish the brain, are the first to suffer when circulation is compromised. Studies show that even 2% dehydration is enough to impact cognitive performance, blood pressure, and cardiovascular function. Now imagine what happens to a man who spends weeks, months, years in a state of mild but constant dehydration. The simplest and most powerful recommendation I give to my patients over 60 is this: drink at least 2 liters of water a day, regardless of whether you feel thirsty. Set an alarm on your phone if you need to. Leave a bottle on your work desk. Wake up and drink a glass before your coffee. This single habit can bring noticeable improvements within weeks. It's not magic, it's basic physiology. The quality of water matters too. Water with lemon on an empty stomach, for example, has a mild alkalizing effect that can help reduce vascular inflammation. But the most important thing is the quantity. Stay hydrated every single day, no exceptions. Now for the second mistake, and this one concerns me deeply because it's also one of the most widespread. There's a comfortable myth that if you work out in the morning, take a walk in the afternoon, or do some kind of regular physical activity, you're making up for the time you spent sitting. Science says otherwise, and the findings are alarming. Recent research in cardiovascular medicine shows that sitting for prolonged periods, especially more than 4 continuous hours, triggers what specialists call venous stasis. This means the blood begins to pool in the legs, circulation slows, and the muscles responsible for helping push blood back up to the heart go into complete rest. The result? Swollen legs, a feeling of heaviness, unexplained fatigue, and over the long term, a significantly higher risk of thrombosis, cardiovascular problems, and compromised erectile function. Because the penis needs blood. I'm going to say that with all the clarity this topic deserves, because there's still so much stigma around male sexual health. An erection is a circulatory event. It's blood flowing into specific tissues with sufficient pressure and volume. When circulation is compromised, by dehydration, by sedentary behavior, by inflammation, by any reason, erectile function is one of the first things to be affected. It's not weakness, it's not in your head, it's physiology. And it's reversible, when you understand the cause. What I recommend to my patients isn't a heavy workout, it's frequent movement. Get up from your chair every 45 minutes, walk around the block, take the stairs. Do a few light squats. Stretch your legs. The secret isn't intensity, it's frequency. The human body was not designed to stay still, and when you force it to do so for hours on end, circulation pays the price. One specific exercise I recommend often, and which has solid scientific evidence behind it for men's health, is male Kegel exercises. Yes, they exist, and no, they're not just for women. Pelvic floor strengthening exercises for men improve local circulation, strengthen the muscles responsible for erection, and can make a significant difference in the sexual function of men over 50 and 60. They're simple, discreet, can be done anywhere, and results appear within weeks. Before I continue, I need to share something with you. Everything I'm teaching you here, hydration, movement, nutrition, habits, is the foundation. It's what no product can replace. But through years of practice, I've also learned that many patients need additional support, especially when circulation has been compromised for some time and the body needs a push to reorganize itself. That's why, for patients who are looking for a natural complement to their care routine, something without heavy side effects, without dependency, without impossible promises, I often discuss a natural formulation that brings together ingredients backed by studies focused specifically on circulation and male vitality after 50. It's a natural supplement, and it doesn't replace habits, it amplifies the results of those who are already taking care of themselves. If you want to learn more, the link is in the first pinned comment below this video. Worth reading. But for now, let's keep going, because the third mistake may be the most underestimated of all. Stress. Everyone talks about it, nobody takes it seriously enough, and when it comes to male circulation after 60, chronic stress is one of the most silent and most destructive forces there is. Here's the mechanism. When you're under stress, your body releases cortisol and adrenaline. These are the so-called stress hormones, and they have a clear evolutionary purpose: to prepare the body to fight or flee from immediate danger. The heart accelerates, the vessels constrict, blood is redirected to the large muscles, arms, legs, and pulled away from organs considered non-essential for immediate survival, including the reproductive system, including erectile tissue. When this alarm state is activated occasionally, everything's fine, the body recovers. The problem is when stress becomes chronic, when you wake up worried, go to sleep worried, and spend the day in a state of moderate but constant alertness. In that situation, cortisol stays elevated continuously, the vessels stay chronically constricted, testosterone drops, because cortisol and testosterone compete for the same hormonal precursors. And circulation, especially in the most sensitive tissues, is progressively compromised. I had a patient, I'll call him Robert, 61 years old, a retired executive, who came to my office with a primary complaint of erectile dysfunction. He had checkups every year, normal cholesterol, controlled blood pressure, healthy blood sugar. "I'm in good health, doctor, I don't understand what's happening." When I went deeper into his history, I discovered that Robert was spending 5 to 6 hours a day on his phone watching the news, tracking the markets, getting caught up in political debates. He slept poorly. He woke up already thinking about problems. His body was in constant survival mode. And his circulatory system was paying the price. The solution we built together wasn't a pill, it was a restructuring of his routine. He reduced screen time. He began practicing diaphragmatic breathing for 10 minutes before bed. He went back to reading, something he had loved and abandoned. Within 3 months, he was sleeping better, his blood pressure had stabilized, and, his own words, things started working like they used to. Stress isn't invisible, it has physical, measurable, concrete consequences, and managing it is just as important to your circulatory health as any medication or supplement. Now I want you to understand something important. These 3 mistakes, chronic dehydration, prolonged sedentary behavior, and unmanaged stress, rarely appear in isolation. In practice, most men over 60 who come to my office with circulatory complaints are making all 3 mistakes simultaneously. And when they combine, the effect is much greater than simply adding the 3 problems together. Think about it, you're dehydrated, so your blood is thicker, you spend hours sitting, so that thick blood is pooling in your legs instead of circulating. You're stressed, so your vessels are constricted and cortisol is inhibiting the production of testosterone and nitric oxide. In that scenario, every cell in your body, including the cells in erectile tissue, the coronary arteries, the brain, is receiving less oxygen and fewer nutrients than it should. And you feel it as fatigue, as brain fog, as lack of desire, as difficulty getting or maintaining an erection, as zero motivation. And here's the cruelest part. When you're in that state, it's even harder to find the energy to change your habits. You're too tired to exercise, too stressed to sleep, too drained to cook well. It's a self-reinforcing cycle. And breaking it requires awareness, strategy, and sometimes an external support to give the first push. I can't close this subject without talking about food. Because what you put on your plate every day is either building or destroying your circulation in real time. And you don't need to go vegan, count calories, or live on salads. These are simple, everyday choices that make an enormous difference over time. Let's start with what helps. Nitric oxide, that fundamental molecule for vessel dilation I mentioned earlier, is stimulated by foods like beets, spinach, arugula, pomegranate, and watermelon. This isn't folklore, it's biochemistry. These foods contain nitrates and citrulline, which the body converts into nitric oxide, relaxing the vessels and improving blood flow. There are well-conducted studies showing that regular consumption of beet juice, for example, improves cardiovascular performance and can have positive effects on erectile function in men with circulatory compromise. Fatty fish rich in omega-3, sardines, salmon, tuna, have proven anti-inflammatory effects on the vascular system. Extra virgin olive oil. Berries, rich in antioxidants that protect the inner lining of the vessels. Raw garlic, which has vasodilatory effects. Walnuts and cashews, which improve lipid profiles. These are your allies. And what sabotages you? Excess sodium, which raises blood pressure and stiffens the vessels. Excess refined sugar, which feeds chronic inflammation. Alcohol in quantity, which may seem relaxing in the short term but has important vasoconstrictive and hormonal effects over the long run. Trans fats, present in ultra-processed foods, which damage the vessel lining from the inside out. And cigarettes, of course. If you still smoke, I need to tell you clearly that nothing destroys male circulatory health more efficiently than tobacco. You don't need to be perfect, but the more consistent you are with the right choices, the more your circulatory system will thank you, and the results will show in your performance, your energy, and your intimate life. There's a fourth factor I want to mention. It's not in the three main mistakes, but it's so important that it would be dishonest of me not to bring it up. Sleep. Specifically, the quality of sleep after 60 and the direct impact it has on circulation and male sexual health. During deep sleep, the body carries out a series of vascular repairs that are impossible while you're awake. Blood pressure drops naturally, the vessels recover, growth hormone is released, and it plays a key role in maintaining vascular integrity and testosterone production. Inflammation is regulated, and, here's something many people don't know, it's during sleep that men experience nocturnal erections, which are essentially the body training erectile function, keeping the tissues oxygenated and functional. When sleep is poor, fragmented, or insufficient, all of these processes are compromised. And men over 60 frequently suffer from sleep apnea, a condition in which breathing repeatedly stops during the night, causing drops in blood oxygen, elevated nighttime cortisol, and a direct impact on cardiovascular and sexual health. If you snore heavily, wake up exhausted after hours in bed, or your partner has noticed you stopping breathing during the night, please investigate sleep apnea. It's treatable, and treatment can completely transform your health. To improve sleep quality in general, maintain a consistent schedule for sleeping and waking up. Avoid screens for at least an hour before bed. Keep the room cool and dark. Avoid heavy meals at night. And, something simple but powerful, try not to bring worries into bed with you. The technique of writing down everything that's bothering you before going to sleep, a kind of mental download, is proven to effectively reduce nighttime rumination. I promised honesty, and I'll be honest, most of the men watching this video aren't just thinking about blood pressure or cholesterol. They're thinking about what compromised circulation does to their intimate life. And they're right to think about it, because the connection is direct and profound. Erectile dysfunction is, in the vast majority of cases, a circulatory symptom. It's not a character flaw. It's not a lack of desire. It's not an age thing you simply have to accept. It's your circulatory system telling you something needs to change. And here's the good news. When you correct the circulation, results come naturally, because your body was simply waiting for the right conditions to work the way it should. The three mistakes we discussed today, dehydration, prolonged sedentary behavior, and chronic stress, are three of the main modifiable causes of circulatory compromise affecting erectile function. Modify these factors, and you're not just taking care of your heart, you're taking care of your intimate life, your self-esteem, your relationship, your identity as a man. I'm not here to sell you the idea that it's simple or quick. Real changes take time, but they happen. I've seen it happen hundreds of times. The science of nutrition for men's health has advanced enormously in recent years. And today we know clearly that certain compounds have specific action on circulation, nitric oxide production, and vascular health, and that many men over 60 are deficient in these nutrients for reasons ranging from age-related impaired intestinal absorption to depletion caused by long-term medications. Vitamin D, for example, has receptors in virtually all body tissues, including vascular ones. Its deficiency is associated with greater arterial stiffness, vascular inflammation, and declining testosterone. Magnesium is fundamental to vascular muscle relaxation, and it's one of the most deficient minerals in the modern adult population. Zinc is directly involved in testosterone synthesis. L-arginine is an amino acid that serves as a direct precursor to nitric oxide. Vitamin C has a protective effect on the endothelium, the inner layer of the vessels. I'm not saying you should rush out and buy each of these nutrients separately. I'm saying that understanding this connection is fundamental to grasping why nutrition and, in some cases, strategic supplementation make a real difference. Not in a magical sense, but in a biochemical, concrete, measurable one. And that's why, for patients who are already committed to the right habits but are looking for additional support to optimize these processes, I often discuss natural formulations that bring these compounds together in a synergistic way. Not as a replacement for anything, but as an intelligent complement to a care routine. If you'd like to learn about the natural supplement I recommend in this context, understand exactly what it contains and how it might fit into your routine, the link is pinned in the first comment below this video. Worth reading through calmly, and if you'd like, discussing with your own doctor. I don't like to end a video without giving you something concrete to take with you. So here's a simple 7-day plan you can start today without needing a gym, a supplement, a radical diet, or anything that costs a lot. Day 1. Start tracking when you drink water. Goal: 8 glasses throughout the day. Set an alarm every 90 minutes. Day 2. Add a circulation-supporting fruit to your breakfast. A slice of watermelon, a pomegranate, or a small cooked beet will do. Day 3. Every 45 minutes of sitting, stand up and walk for 3 to 5 minutes. Use your phone's timer. Day 4. Learn and practice 10 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing before bed. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Day 5. Eliminate or drastically reduce ultra-processed foods for just that one day. See how you feel. Day 6. Do 3 sets of 10 male Kegel exercises. Look up how to do them. It's simple, discreet, and effective. Day 7. Sleep and wake up at the same time. No screens 1 hour before bed. Room dark and cool. 7 days. Simple habits. And if you manage to keep this up for 30 days, I can tell you that you will notice a difference in your energy, your focus, your mental clarity, and very possibly your intimate performance. I want to be transparent with you, as I always try to be. Health isn't solved by a single video, not by a single product, not by a single appointment. It's built through consistency, through quality information, and through the courage to look at your own body honestly, without shame, without minimizing, without that attitude of, it'll pass. What I do on this channel is exactly that. Bring real information, grounded in science and years of clinical practice, so that you can make more conscious decisions about your health. I'm not here to scare you, I'm here to inform you. Because an informed man takes better care of himself and takes better care of the people he loves. If what I shared today made sense to you, if you recognize yourself in any of the mistakes we discussed, if Anthony's or Robert's story reminded you of someone you know, or reminded you of yourself, then this video did what it was meant to do. Before I go, let me remind you of something important. You don't need to fix everything at once. Health is built day by day, through small and consistent choices. And you're here, watching this video until the very end, which already says a lot about who you are, someone who cares, who wants to improve, who hasn't given up. For those who want to go beyond habits and are looking for a natural complement, something that helps the body optimize the processes we talked about today, especially circulation and male vitality, I've left the link to the natural supplement I recommend pinned in the first comment below. Read it carefully, look at the ingredients, and make the decision that makes the most sense for you. No pressure, no miracle promises, just honest information. And if this video brought you something of value, do me a huge favor, like this video. It helps the channel reach more men who need this kind of information. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next, because every week I bring topics like this one, with the same seriousness and the same care. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I'm always curious to know where the people following this channel are coming from, and I love reading every single message. Thank you so much for being here. Take good care of yourself. Your body deserves attention, and you deserve quality of life, in every sense of the word. Until the next video.